Je regelte Bitcoin. Today is Wednesday, October 25th, 2017. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is down 2.53% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 55.03, a high of 57.41, and a low of 54.11. That's $1 for 18,223 Satoshis. Our top story today, Coinbase has made their fatally bad decision. Brian Armstrong, clarifying, we'll call the chain with the most accumulated difficulty Bitcoin. Important for us to remain neutral and let the market decide. This is also confirmed in the Coinbase blog post, where they had to clarify their position. Once again, to go to Charlie Lee, Cobb Lee on Reddit. This only matters, the longest chain argument only matters when two chains are using the same consensus rules. By definition, Segwit2X will be forking to a 2 megabyte chain, etc., etc. It follows different rules. This is an absurd standard and the beginning of lawsuits against Coinbase, Zappo, and Bitcoin.com for fraud. This is false representation. This is fraud. You need to call your lawyers immediately. Let's use Charlie's analogy right here. What happens when a chess game maker decides to come together to change the chessboard from an 8x8 to a 9x9 board because they think having more space to play chess is better? Would users just accept that and call the new game chess? No, they won't refer to the new game with new rules as chess. They will still refer to the original game on an 8x8 board as chess. The only acceptable answer to which Bitcoin will you call Bitcoin is the code that comes from github.com/Bitcoin. The only acceptable answer is that you're sticking with the Bitcoin development team that has gotten us this far and will take us into the future. Bitcoin is a scientific project governed by a mailing list, the BIP improvement process, and the GitHub. If you're branching off from that, you're using a different coin. You're using an altcoin. Segwit2X is an altcoin that is masquerading as Bitcoin. This is foul. According to Brian's standard of whoever has the most proved difficulty, BCH is already the real Bitcoin. As you can see right here on August 23rd, just 23 days into the creation of BCH, they began to pass Bitcoin in accumulative difficulty because it's simple to change the rules of your altcoin to acquire more difficulty. It's also simple to arrange for 90% of the hash rate by contract to switch to a different coin. This is not a standard. This is not a measure of anything except that Coinbase is going to be sued out of existence. As I said on Twitter, Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, I'm so disappointed in you. You break my heart. Bitcoin Pioneer says new coin to work on many blockchains. That's right. Jeff Garza can't even focus on his Segwit2X project. He has to work on Metronome, a coin that so-called can jump between different blockchains. I'm sorry, Jeff, but atomic cross-chain trading, atomic swaps, has already been invented and already tested on the Lightning Network, on the Litecoin network using Decred. It already exists, Jeff. You're building something that already exists. Again. Stock Picker, who predicted $5,000 Bitcoin, says it's on track to top Apple's market cap, that the Bitcoin price could rise to $50,000 in the next decade. He also says that critics of Bitcoin are heavily invested in US banks that are being directly threatened by the cryptocurrency. Once again, to remind you of the past, this is a repeat of the MP3 debate. This is a repeat of the video piracy debate. The internet will win. The old world, the old companies, the music and the movies, and now the banks will be destroyed by the internet. It's simply a matter of time. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, hero and inventor of the personal computer, says that Bitcoin is better than gold. Wozniak says that gold gets mined and mined and mined, Maybe there's a finite amount of gold in the world, but Bitcoin is even more mathematical and regulated, and nobody can change mathematics. As I've said frequently on this show, as soon as we develop technology, we'll bring an asteroid full of gold close to the Earth, mine it, and bring that gold back to the Earth, ruining the gold market, if it's even worth doing. There are no asteroids filled with Bitcoin. There are only 21 million Bitcoins. Why everyone's talking about Bitcoin and Zimbabwe? You know why? Inflation. In the past, when a country's currency became inflated, such as Zimbabwe, who famously printed $100 billion notes now available on eBay, the hyperinflation left the users and the people in the country with nowhere to go, nothing to avoid, nothing to get out of the country. They had to spend their money on goods like toilet paper and whiskey so that they could have some kind of store of value. Now they can store their money in Bitcoin, have it go up, but also have it keep their value against the scourge of hyperinflation. This is big news for Zimbabwe, Cyprus, Portugal, Italy, a bunch of other places, Ireland, other places where their currency is going to be devalued through hyperinflation. And now the people have an alternative. They have an option. Ledger Bitcoin wallet partners with tech giant Intel. More great news for Bitcoin today, as Ledger and Intel will use a SGX, a secure private key enclave, to store your Bitcoin keys. Private keys will be automatically generated, and all cryptocurrency transactions will be signed within the Intel SGX secure enclave. This is the same idea that the Rivets company had several years ago at the Miami Bitcoin conference, but seemed unable to actually come to market. I heard recently that they were doing an ICO. I expect Intel to do far better, and I congratulate Ledger on this partnership. Once again, the block height, 2 new BCH blocks were found since I was last here 5 seconds ago. You can produce more blocks. You can have the longest chain all you want, but you'll never have the Bitcoin development team. When your new altcoin gets in trouble, you'll wish that you had the Bitcoin development team. Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, you're making a horrible mistake, and you're going to be held liable for this fraud. That's about it for this episode of Today in Bitcoin. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe down below. And now a reading from Henry V, Act 3, Scene 1. Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. Or close up the wall with our English dead. In peace there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, conjure up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard-favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let it pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow overwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock overhang and jutty his confounded base. Swilled with the wild and wasteful ocean, now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noblest English Bitcoin, whose blood is fet from fathers of war-proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from more until even fought, and sheath their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those who you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble luster in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge, cry, God for Bitcoin, Bitcoin, and Saint Satoshi. Fight on. Bye-bye. Apologies for the construction noise. Hopefully it's not too bad. Thank you so much.